Hello again, welcome back. Welcome back to another class. Welcome back to Vaughan Inglés 4.0. Yes, welcome back to another opportunity to continue improving. También puedo decir to continue to improve. To continue improving your English. Class number 151. We have 45 classes left. We have 45 classes left. We have 45 classes ahead of us. We still have 45 classes to go. Many ways to say basically the same thing. The most common, we have 45 classes left. So let's start without any further delay. Let's move to camera 1 and begin by reviewing, please. All right. Yes. I dropped this morning, I was making fried eggs. Typical American and British English breakfast. I was making fried eggs for breakfast, and I dropped 2 of the eggs. And my wife looked at the floor and she said, why did you drop those eggs? I said, I didn't mean to drop them. I'm sorry. Yeah. She said, you shouldn't have dropped those eggs. You did it on purpose, didn't you? You did it on purpose. I said, no, I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. You shouldn't have dropped those eggs. Are you sorry you dropped them? Of course I'm sorry I dropped them. I'm sorry I dropped them. I regret having dropped them. Yes. I wish I hadn't dropped them. Yeah. I should have been more careful. I should have been more careful. I shouldn't have been so careless. I'm sorry I dropped them. I didn't mean to drop them. I didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't deliberate. It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. And I realize now I regret not having been more careful. I regret having been so careless. And now somebody has to clean the floor. Yes. And my wife said, I'll clean it. No, I'll clean it. I'll clean it. I said, okay. Yeah. And now she's not talking to me because I dropped those 2 eggs on the floor. Yes. And besides, there weren't any, those were the last 2 eggs. So we couldn't eat fried eggs this morning. Okay, but because I dropped them on the floor. And of course they broke. Now, I'm sorry I lost the match. I'm sorry I lost the match. I shouldn't have lost the match. I wish I hadn't lost the match. I regret having lost the match. Yes. Dije algo a María y la ofendí sin querer. I said something to Maria and I offended her. I didn't mean to offend her, but I did. I'm sorry I said it. Siento haberlo dicho. En inglés decimos, siento que lo dije. I'm sorry I said it. Siento lo dije. Okay, I'm sorry. Lamento haberlo dicho. I'm sorry I said it. I regret that I said it. Or I regret having said it. Lo que no podemos decir es I'm sorry having said it. I'm sorry I said it. Es lo más corriente de todo, ¿eh? I'm sorry I said that. I shouldn't have said it. It was a big mistake. I put my foot in my mouth. I'm sorry I said it. I shouldn't have said it. Ojalá no lo hubiera dicho. I wish I hadn't, con D, hadn't. I wish I hadn't said it. But now it's too late. And I accidentally offended her. And now she's not talking to me. And that makes this program more difficult for me. It makes this program more difficult for me to concentrate. Yes. I wish I hadn't said that. You know, sometimes I don't control my emotions. Sometimes I don't control what I say. And then I'm sorry. Later I'm sorry. Later I regret what I did. Later I regret having done certain things. Later I wish I hadn't said those things. But that happens. Some people simply can't control their tongue. They can't control what they say. and they hurt people's feelings, often by accident. Well, I'm not so sure. I'm sure they don't mean to hurt other people's feelings, but they certainly freely say things that offend people. And that happened to me this morning when I got here. I said something that apparently, que por visto, I said something that apparently offended Maria. She's not looking at me. She's not even listening to me. She's so angry. I wish I hadn't said it. Ojalá no lo hubiera dicho. Ojalá pudiera dar marcha atrás al reloj. I wish I could turn the clock back, but I can't turn the clock back. All right? Yeah, I can't undo, deshacer lo que hice. I can't undo, se escribe undo. I can't undo what I did. I regret having done it. I regret having said those words. I wish I hadn't said those words. I shouldn't have said those words. No tenía que haberlos dicho. I shouldn't have said those words, but I did. Yes. I'm sorry I did it. I regret having done it. I shouldn't have done it. I wish I hadn't done it. Yes. I flew to the Canary Islands last week on business, and it was a mistake. I was supposed to have flown there next week, not last week. I made a mistake on the weeks. Can you believe it? I made a date, an appointment in Las Palmas for some business meetings, and for some reason I wrote the date wrong. I made the plane reservations, the hotel reservations, the meeting room reservations. I contacted everybody in my organization to prepare the meeting. Then I caught the plane and I flew to Las Palmas and nobody was there. And then I realized I had made a mistake. And I wish I had last 2 weeks ago when I made the appointment, I wish I had paid more attention. I wish I had been more careful, but I wasn't. I'm sorry I was so careless. I'm sorry I did things rashly, precipitously, too fast. I regret having been careless in taking down, apuntando, the dates of the meeting, all right? I wish I had been more careful. I should have been more careful. I'm sorry I wasn't more careful. I regret not having been more careful. I regret having been so careless. I'm sorry I was so careless. I wish I had been more careful. Okay. I'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hello everyone, my name is Layla and today we're going to do a review class. To help me with this, Juan is here. How are you doing, Juan?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Let's ask everybody at home. At home, how are you doing? Are you doing great as well? Okay, are you ready to practice? Yeah? Juan, how about you?
I'm ready to practice.
Fantastic, then let's begin. The first part is to feel up to doing something, sentirse con fuerzas o ánimo para hacer algo. All right? So to feel up to doing something. All right? You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. When you feel under the weather, now what does that mean, to feel under the weather?
¿Está triste?
Exactly. When you're feeling down, right? So when you feel under the weather, do you feel up to going to watch a sad movie?
When I feel under the weather, yes, I do feel up to watch a sad movie.
Careful, so I feel up to
I feel up to
watching.
Watching.
Okay, so even though it's to, we still use the gerund.
Yes, when I feel under the weather, I feel up like, no.
I feel up to
watching a sad movie.
Okay, or I feel up to going to watch a sad movie.
Yes, when I'm feeling under the weather, I feel up to watching a sad movie.
Okay, he keeps leaving the going to watch a sad movie out. Okay, but it's fine. It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same meaning. So feel up to going to watch a movie. I'm just making it extra long and challenging for you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Do you feel up to talking to your wife after 12? or after midnight?
Yes, I feel up to talking to my wife after midnight.
Okay, there you go. All right, so remember to feel up to, apetecer, o sentirse con ánimo, o fuerzas. When you're feeling down, do you feel like going to a gigantic party?
Normally not. When I feel down, I normally don't feel up to going to a gigantic party.
Gigantic.
Gigantic party.
Okay, good. Gigantic, gigantesco. Okay, so it's gigantic. All right, now can you tell me just one more time?
When I feel down, I don't feel up to going to a gigantic party.
Exactly, okay. Ask me if I feel like going to watch a scary movie if my boyfriend is going to be out of town.
Do you feel up to going to watch a scary movie if your boyfriend is out of town?
Oh, is going to be out of town.
Do you feel up to going to watch a scary movie if your boyfriend is going to be out of town?
Good, okay, fantastic. No, I don't feel up to watching a scary movie. I have a very active imagination, so it's better if I don't, okay? So I don't feel up to it, okay? Do you feel up to going to a super expensive restaurant? Now, in the States, it's very common. We say super, okay? Just like in Spanish, super, to emphasize something. So, do you feel up to going to a super expensive restaurant when it's the end of the month?
No, I normally don't feel up to going to a super expensive restaurant when it's the end of the month.
Exactly. Okay, very good. So feel up to doing something, then always followed by the gerund. It's irregular. Okay? Well done. Second part. Regret plus the gerund or regret plus the infinitive. Okay, so what means arrepentirse o lamentarse. Okay? So I will give you a sentence and I want you to use regret for me. Okay?
Okay.
I shouldn't have bought that expensive coat. So tell me how I feel. Imagine that I'm telling you, I shouldn't have bought that expensive coat. Okay, so tell me, me lamento, right? So tell me you.
You regret buying that expensive coat.
Exactly. Okay, one more time.
You regret buying that expensive coat.
Fantastic. Okay, so how do I feel? I regret buying that expensive coat. Okay, great. I shouldn't have had such a huge dinner.
You regret having had such a huge dinner.
Exactly, okay? I regret having had such a huge dinner, okay? How do you say gigantesco?
Gigantic.
Excellent, all right. I shouldn't have eaten so much chocolate.
You regret
Having
eaten so much chocolate.
Okay, tell me one more time.
You regret having eaten so much chocolate.
Exactly, okay. What do I regret? I regret having eaten so much chocolate. Okay, great. He really shouldn't have spoken to her in that way. So
he regrets having spoken to her in that way.
Exactly, okay? He regrets having spoken to her in that way. All right, excellent. Tell me you've decided, okay, no, the next one, okay? Tell me you've decided not to hire me. Okay, so now, lamento. Okay, so imagine that you are hiring me for a job and you have to tell me you've decided not to hire me.
I regret to tell you that
Exactly, okay, so in this case we use the infinitive. I regret to tell you. Okay, sorry, continue for me.
I regret to tell you that I've decided not to hire you.
Exactly, okay, excellent. Tell me you've decided not to choose me for the job.
I regret to tell you that I have decided not to choose you for the job.
Okay, or exactly that I've decided
not to choose you for the job.
Exactly, so you decide not to do something. Okay, great. You've done a fantastic job, Juan.
Thanks, thank you.
Okay, and at home, always remember that you have to practice out loud as many times as possible. So I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome back. Okay, we're moving forward. We're making progress. We're moving on. We're moving on to more important things? Not necessarily. The most important items in the English language, the most important aspects of this language are the things that are taught in the beginner's program, not in this program. The second most important aspects of the language are taught in the intermediate program, not in this program. If you have perfect agility, with everything that is taught in the first and second, say basic and intermediate, probably you don't need the advanced because your English would be almost perfect. Because everything you need to know is basically in those two courses. Everything essential that you need to know. Okay, so shall we move on? Let's move on. Well, before we move on, antes de continuar, de seguir adelante, before we move on, we need to change to camera 1. So, I want to move on, but before moving on, let's change to camera number 1, please. Moving, moving, moving. Keep them doggies moving. Yes, to move. To move is an important verb in English. To move is mover algo. Yeah, to move this cup here. I'm moving the cup in front of you. I'm moving it up and down, and now I'm moving it sideways. I'm moving it up and down, and now I'm moving it sideways. To the right and to the left. Moving it. To move is also mudarse. Sí, o trasladarse. Voy a mudarme a New Hampshire. I'm going to move to New Hampshire. All right, move. Muévete. Come on, move. Move it. Uf, a mis hijos he dicho 1000 veces, move it. Move it. Muévelo means move your posterior. Vamos, move it. Come on, let's go. Marchando. Come on, you guys, move it. And it is referring to your posterior. It's used all the time in English, all the time. And then move on. Move forward. Eso sí que es ir hacia adelante progresando. We're moving forward with our English. Now move on means, sí, sigamos. Vamos a pasar ya al siguiente tema. Let's move on. Let's go on. Let's move on to the next subject. Let's move on. Yes. And some people with life, there's a moment in your life in which you need to move on. This happens a lot with people who suffer big problems. For example, a divorce. Sometimes a man or a woman suffers a divorce, a sentimental or emotional trauma. And they often have trouble adapting to the new life, trying, and sometimes they don't want to adapt to a new life. They're holding on to the old life. And maybe friends, or a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, or a doctor would say, you need to move on. You need to move on. Come on, turn over a new leaf. Turn over a new leaf. Leaf es una hoja de árbol. También es una página. Turn over a new leaf and start your life anew. De nuevo, anew. A nouveau. Start your life anew. Turn over a new leaf and move on. Jennifer, I understand that you're upset. I understand your problems, of course. Everybody knows how difficult it is to make such a big change in your life at this point, at your age. But you need to move on. You need to move on. Because if you don't, you will be living in the past and you'll be losing a lot of opportunities for the future. You're still young enough to do a lot of very productive, interesting, fascinating things perhaps in your life. So you just need to move on, all right? And try to not forget about the past, but put the past behind you. It's the past. And as you say in Spanish, agua pasada no mueve molino. It has no effect on your future. As Scarlett O'Hara said, after Rhett Butler left her, she looked at the light coming through the window and she said, tomorrow is another day. And it's true. In fact, today is another day. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. So Jennifer, you need to move on. You need to move on. Move on es seguir adelante también en sentido más literal y menos filosófico, digamos. Let's move on to the next segment. Is that okay? Let's move on to the next point. Let's see, point number 1 was a review. Shall we move on to point 2? Point 2 is to teach move on, all right? And then after we finish point 2, I think it's a good idea to move on to point 3. And point 3 is a translation list. And then when we finish the translation list, I think it's a good idea to move on to the next class after that, to this class, class 152. And then after we finish class 152, I think it's a good idea. It's appropriate, apropiado, no apropiado in English. It's appropriate to move on to class 153. Okay. Expropiar in English, expropriar, to expropriate property, for example, and appropriate, apropiarse de, to appropriate, apropiarse. Hay un R en inglés aquí. In French, I'm not sure. Exproprier or expropier. I'm not sure which one it is. All right. I'm not sure if Spanish is the exception or English is the exception. But we need to move on because I'm spending a lot of time teaching move on. Maybe I shouldn't spend so much time teaching the expression to move on. Maybe we should move on to something else. What do you think? Do you think I should move on to something else? Or do you think I should continue dwelling on, move on? Dwell is morar. A dwelling is una morada. Okay? Now to dwell on something is girar en torno a un tema y no ir a otro. To dwell. Estamos morando sobre este tema, decimos en inglés. We're dwelling como well, bien, con de delante, dwell. We're dwelling on this subject, and maybe we should move on. You know, but maybe before we move on to another subject, maybe we should move on to a break. I know our sponsors want to say something, but I don't know if it's time yet. But before moving on to another point, I think it's best that we take a break, or I think it's better for us to take a break and let our sponsors say something, and then we'll move on. Okay? All right. I'm back. I'm back for 1 minute. I forgot that after the break, I have to come back. I was planning to move on to the next point. And now I have to spend a minute talking about move on again. And I'm not ready to say anything more. I think I've exhausted. Ya agotado el tema, ¿no? I've exhausted the subject of to move on. And so, but I can't move on to the next subject until I finish this 1 minute segment talking about move on. But to tell you the truth, I would rather move on to another subject. I'm tired of the subject move on. So really, don't you think it's better that we move on to something else, otra cosa? Don't you think it's better that we move on to something else? I think it's time to move on. I know there's another teacher waiting to take over for me right now. So why don't we just talk less for a few minutes and let's move on to another teacher who maybe is going to talk about move on or maybe about something else. We'll see.
Hello there, my name's David Waddell and it's time to look at another phrasal verb. I'm afraid it's to move on and it means progresar, avanzar or seguir adelante. Yeah, so different meanings. With me here to practice this verb is the very great David Pinilla. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you.
Good, you are great. I'm great too today, I'm very well. Okay, so have you heard of this phrasal verb before?
Yes, I have.
To move on?
Yes,
yeah?
to move on.
We use it a lot in expressions like moving on, let's move swiftly on to the next subject.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you lots and lots of examples. I want you to just answer the questions. For example, are you moving on to better things? Are you moving on to better things? Di que sí. A ver. Very good. Now, what does that mean? To move on to better things. How do you say that in Spanish?
pasar a mejores cosas o...
Yeah, normally to go up in company or something, to move on to better things. Good, okay. So, are you moving on to better things, DKC?
Yes, I'm moving on to better things.
Very good, you're
I
moving
hope so.
on. Yeah, so do I. We have to move on to better things. Okay, can you say it again?
Yes, I'm moving on to better things.
Better things, better things. I'm moving on to better things one more time.
Yes, I'm moving on to better things.
Very good, very good. Okay, I'm moving on to better things. Can you repeat that at home? Good, yes, I'm moving on to better things. Let's do another one. Shall we move on to the next subject? Shall we move on to the next subject? DKC? Very good. Now, shall we move on to the next subject? How do you say yes with that one?
Yes, we'll move on to the next... No?
No, it's another word we would use to say okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Very good. Let's move on to the next subject.
Okay,
Repeat.
okay, let's move on to the next subject.
Good. Let's move on to the next subject. We're going to repeat that sentence various times, several times during this class because it's very important. Yeah. So, let's do another one. Now, did she manage to move on? Did she manage to move on after the breakup? After the breakup. Now, what's a breakup, David? You know?
Una ruptura sentimental, ¿no?
Exactly, exactly. So in casa, did she manage to move on after the breakup? DKC? Good. Managed. So, yes?
Yes, she managed to move on. Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup.
After the breakup. Very good. Repeat.
Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup.
Ahora sin pausa.
Okay. Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup.
Please,
one more time.
One more time.
Yes, she managed to move on. Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup.
Much better. But I want you to do it again.
Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup.
Very good. So yes, she managed to move on after the breakup. Repeat. Very good. Yes, she managed to move on after the breakup. En un tiro. Es muy importante. Intentar decirlo en una. Very difficult, though. Okay, let's do another one. Did she manage to move on? Okay, we've done that one. Let's go on to the next one. Shall we move on to the next subject? DKC? Shall we move on to the next subject?
Yes, let's move on to the next subject.
Very good. And again?
Yes, let's move on to the next subject.
Yeah, let's move on to the next subject, shall we? Or let's not. Let's not. Because we still have many more examples to do. Okay, so for example, do some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup? DKC? I'll repeat it again. Do some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup? Very good, David.
Yes, some people find difficult to move on after the breakup.
Faltan cosillas aquí. Okay, one more time.
Yes. Do some people...
I will repeat it again. Do some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup?
Yes. Some people find it difficult to move on after the breakup.
After a breakup. One more time.
Yes. Some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup.
Very good. That time was very good. So do some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup? Repeat. Yes, some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup. Repeat. Yeah, estoy diciendo repeat. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so yes, some people find it difficult to move on after a breakup. Now, moving swiftly on. What does that mean? Any idea?
Pasar el tema
Vamos
delicadamente.
Con rápidamente, porque no queremos. Yeah, so moving swiftly on is a very, very common expression. So I will say moving swiftly on every so often, just to accustom your ear to it. Okay, would you find it difficult to move on? Would you find it difficult to move on? VKC? Conditional here. Would you find it difficult to move on?
Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on.
Difficult. It's good that you're not saying difficult, but it's difficult. Yes. One more time.
Yes, I find it difficult to move on.
Now with conditional. Yes, I'd find it.
Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on.
Very good. Let's say it one more time, though.
Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on.
Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on. Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on.
Yes, I'd find it difficult to move on.
Excellent. Whew, un crack. Very, very good. Okay. Ask me if I find it difficult to move on sometimes. Ask me if I find it difficult to move on sometimes. A ver. Ask me if I find it difficult to move on sometimes.
Do you find it difficult to move on sometimes?
Very good. Repeat.
Do you find it difficult to move on sometimes?
That's a good question. Sometimes, yes, I find it difficult to move on. Yeah.
Sometimes it
To
takes
forget-
time.
to forget the past and to move on.
Yes.
That's what we have to do. But moving swiftly on, let's move on to the next subject, shall we?
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on.
moving on very quickly. Okay, do you find it difficult to move on to the next subject when you're enjoying yourself?
No, I don't find it difficult to move on to the next subject when I'm enjoying myself.
Very good. When I'm enjoying myself. Very, very good. Repeat. Excellent.
No, I don't find it difficult to move on to the next subject when I'm enjoying myself.
Excellent. Okay, in casa, do you find it difficult to move on to the next subject when you're enjoying yourself? Di que sí? Very good. Yes, I find it, or no, I don't find it difficult to move on to the next subject when you're enjoying yourself, or yes, I find it difficult to move on to the next subject when I'm enjoying myself. Whatever. Okay. Shall we move on to the next subject?
Yes, let's move on to the next subject.
Let's move on to the next subject, shall we? Okay, does your sister find it difficult to move on? Does your sister find it difficult to move on in casa? Very good. Okay, does your sister find it difficult to move on sometimes?
No.
No.
In general, my sister doesn't find it difficult to move on.
Very good. Repeat.
No, in general, my sister doesn't find it difficult to move on.
Very good. One more time.
No, in general, my sister doesn't find it difficult to move on.
And your brother?
My brother sometimes find it difficult to move. Yes. Good. Yes, my brother sometimes finds it difficult to move on.
Good. His brother sometimes finds it difficult to move on, but that's all we have time for, so goodbye.
All right, are you ready? Camera one, translation list. Quiero una no me sale. Quiero una propuesta. No me sale. Propuesta. I'm having trouble with your language. This is an English class, not a Spanish class, eh? Okay. Besides, when you start getting older, you lose motor abilities, motor skills, and it affects your pronunciation. 20 years ago, my pronunciation of Spanish was not too bad. Now it's atrocious. Yo quiero una propuesta por escrito. I want a written proposal. Written, please. Written has two T's. Okay? Written. W muda al principio. Written. Double T in the middle. N al final. I want a written proposal. Ahora. I want a proposal in writing. That's different. Writing in this case is escribiendo. One T and ing. Don't confuse escrito con escribiendo. Now, in writing is por escrito también. So if you say, quiero una propuesta escrita, I want a written proposal. Quiero una propuesta por escrito, I want a proposal in writing, my friend. Okay? Yes, a high five is not enough. Saying, yeah, man, that's nice for a high five agreement, but I want this agreement in writing, okay? I want a written proposal, please. Vaya al grano, por favor. Get to the point, get to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Get to the point. No vayas por los cerros de Úbeda. Get to the point, al grano, por favor. Get to the point. Or get straight to the point. Directamente al grano. Get to the point. Esto es el meollo de la cuestión. El meollo de la cuestión. This is the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter. This is the heart of the matter. Learning a language like English is a question of love. You must fall in love with the language. If you don't, it's 2 times more difficult. Of course, it's not possible for everybody to fall in love with the English language because every person is different. Our approach, our emotional approach to different subjects is different for every person. But I guarantee you, the people who fall in love with my language learn it like that. Like that. Así. Like that. Simply like that, no like this. Like that. Snapping my fingers. I'm snapping my fingers. Snap. Snap. Como nap. Siesta con ese delante. Snap. Okay? People who fall in love. That's with my language. Learn it like that. Esto es el meollo de la cuestión. This is the heart. Corazón del asunto. This is the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter. Hagamos un trato. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. To make a deal. To make a transaction. To reach a transaction. To make a deal. It's a deal. Trato hecho. It is a deal. Con contracción siempre obligatoria. It's a deal. And to make a deal. Let's make a deal. Hagamos un trato. Let's make a deal. Yo nunca hago tratos con gente como tú. I never make deals with people like you. I don't trust you. Yeah. I never make deals. I never make deals. I never make deals. Escrito deals. Tratos. Un trato comercial. I never make deals with people like you. El bebé murió al nacer. The baby died at birth. The baby died at birth. My grandfather, my father's father, was a doctor, a country doctor. He was a doctor in Burnett County, Texas, and he worked for 40 or 45 years as the general doctor in that rural area, in that county. And still today, he has the record, el récord of births, 3,400 births. Yes. A few of the babies died at birth, but none of the mothers. My grandfather never lost a mother. 3,300 mothers survived the births of their babies. Okay? But a few babies died, I'm sure. El bebé murió. The baby died at birth. A nacimiento. Alumbramiento. At birth. Si quieres impresionarle, enséñale esto. If you want to impress him, show him this. Show him this. También se admite show this to him, pero tiene menos peso. Fuerza. If you want to impress him, show him this. Los ascensos aquí se basan en el mérito y nada más. Las promociones, los ascensos. Promotions here, promotions. No digo the promotions porque me refiero a los ascensos jerárquicos en general. Promotions here are based on merit and nothing else. On merit and nothing else. Promotions here are based on, bastón, based on. Fijaos, based on, escrito. Ahora la ed de based, de basar, es based, tiene sonido de T. Y el on que va después se pega al sonido de T. Y la T casi se separa de su tallo, que es base. Based on merit. Promotions in this company are based on merit. Based on, y para ayudaros a hacer ese enlace, pensad en la palabra española un pastón. No decís un pastón, no. Un pastón, based on. So, promotions here are based on merit, mérito, and nothing else. No dejes que te ponga nervioso. Don't let them make you nervous. Don't let them make you nervous. Come on. These people, They're nothing. They're not important. Don't let them make you nervous. Don't let them make you. Como la letra Q. Q. Make you. Don't let them make you nervous. Le gusta hacer comentarios sarcásticos. He likes to make sarcastic comments. Usamos el verbo to make con comentarios. He likes to make sarcastic remarks or sarcastic comments. Remarks or comments. Okay. I'll be back to close the program in just a few minutes.
Hello and welcome. My name is Kyle, as you probably know by now, and I am here today with Anna. Anna, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great, great. Anna, today I have our translation list, list number 54. But first, as we always do in the third part of the class, what do we have to do, Anna?
A review.
Well, no, our 5 words of vocabulary.
Okay.
Our 5 words of vocabulary, okay. Yeah, so we're going to start with our 5 words. The first word, aplazar.
To postpone.
Okay, to postpone, or we have a phrasal verb.
Yeah, to put off.
To put off, to put off, to put, we can put something off. 2 F's, right? Off, to put off. Barco de vela.
Sailboat.
Sailboat. Sailboat. Very good. The third word today is coetáneos. Coetáneos. Peers.
Oh, okay.
Peers, right? Did you know that one?
No,
Peers.
I didn't know the one in Spanish.
Peer, okay. Because you're Brazilian,
Brazilian,
which
yeah.
is fine. But maybe I'm saying it wrong, but I think who knows? I'm famous for saying things, for pronouncing things wrong. So coetáneos, I believe, which is peers. So what are peers?
Where the sailboats are? Is that?
Oh, well, that's okay. We have a peer. Well, a peer
okay.
where boats are, but
Okay.
peers are your colleagues, your
okay.
your equals in terms of your work.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
Alberto and Leila and David and Hannah and
And does it
Natasha
work
and
for-
Fitz, they're my peers.
Does it work for animals as well?
No, we don't normally use it that way. We think of it as being professional, your workmates or your equivalent, let's say. Professional equivalent, let's say. Okay, and the fourth word is sospechar algo.
To smell a rat.
Nice. To smell a rat. It's like we could say to suspect something. Something is suspicious. I think I smell a rat. To smell a rat. It's a strange kind of expression, isn't it? To smell a rat. Okay, and the last one we have is bien hecho.
Well done.
Well done. Good job. Well done. Well done. Well done, right? No problem. Okay, now it is time, Anna, for our translation list, number 54. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and at home, are you ready for this list? Because Anna's ready. Are you ready? Okay. Number 1. Quiero una propuesta por escrito. Por escrito.
I want a proposal in writing.
Okay, I want a proposal in writing. What kind of proposal do you want?
An offer.
You could use, instead of saying in writing, you could say a written
Okay.
proposal.
I want a written proposal.
I want a written proposal. At home, I want a written proposal. Very good. At home, we'll go back to the camera here. Vaya al grano. Vaya al grano. We say get
To the point.
Get to the point, right? Get to the point. Vaya al grano. Get to the point. Number 3. Esto es el meollo de la cuestión.
That's the heart of the problem. This is the heart of.
Esto.
This is the heart of the problem.
This is the heart of the, cuestión,
Of the question.
the question, or the matter.
Okay.
This is the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter. Yes, this is the heart of the matter. All right. Hagamos un trato. Hagamos un trato.
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Good. Let's make a deal. Very good. Nunca hago tratos con gente como tú.
I never make deals with people like you.
I never, very good. I never make deals. I never make deals with people like you. I never make deals. So at home, say that out loud. I never make deals. We always make deals, right? Make deal. I never make deals with people like you, for example. El bebé murió al nacer.
The baby died at birth.
The baby died at birth, okay. Number 7, si quieres impresionarle, enséñale esto.
If you want to impress him, show him this.
Yeah, this book. If you want to impress him, show him this, right? Say it again.
If you want to impress him, show him this.
If you want to impress him, show him this. Very good. Number 8. Los ascensos aquí se basan en el mérito y nada más.
Promotions here are based in merit. Merit? No, merit. Nothing else.
Okay, now, based on.
Okay.
So, can you say it again?
Promotions here are based on merit.
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 Yeah, ending in a T. Merit. Promotions here.
Promotions here are based on merit and nothing else. Nothing more.
Yeah, nothing else.
Nothing else.
Promotions here are based on merit.
And nothing else.
And nothing else. All right. Promotions here are based on merit and nothing else. Very good. No dejes que te pongan nervioso.
Don't let him don't let him be nervous.
No dejes que te pongan. So this is ellos, right?
Don't let them
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
make you nervous.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more of that word, that. Don't let them
Make you nervous.
Yeah, and we have to stick our tongue out. Don't let them. Now, right? I know when we speak fast, don't let them. But I would encourage you to pronounce that them. Don't let them make you nervous. Again?
Don't let them make you nervous.
Yes. Don't let them make you nervous. Very good. Le gusta hacer comentarios sarcásticos.
She likes to make sarcastic comments.
She or he yeah, likes to make sarcastic comments. Comments, or we could say remarks.
Oh, okay.
He likes to make sarcastic remarks. No le hagas caso.
Don't pay attention to him.
Sorry?
Don't pay attention.
Pay. This is the Spanish movement for pay. Yeah, no. Don't pay any attention
to him.
Don't pay any attention to him. Hasta ahora siempre he confiado en él. We're out of time. Up to now, I've always trusted him, we say. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Good job at home. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Class 151. Yes, not bad. We're making progress. We're moving on. We're moving forward. We're advancing. One of the sentences from today is, si lo encuentro, si quieres impresionarle, enséñale esto. If you want to impress him, show him this. Ahora, modifiquemos esta frase. Si quieres impresionar a tus futuros reclutadores o empresas que te seleccionan, habla inglés mejor que ellos. If you want to impress your future company, your future recruiters, speak English better than they do, and they will envy you, and they will hire you like that, because of your English. Not necessarily because of your other qualifications, which are very, very important, and sometimes even more. Pero el inglés entra por los ojos y los oídos de una forma brutal para reclutadores. So, if you want to impress them, learn English well.